To the woman that desires to be a mom, to an expectant mom,
To moms of small children, to moms of adult children.
this podcast series is for you. Welcome to All Things Motherhood. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Change of Raiment podcast. This is our second episode in the Motherhood series, and my name is Tina. I'm going to be the host with asking questions to my dear friend Maggie. So Maggie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I am blessed beyond measure. There's so many blessings to be counted.
Amen. Praise God.
Yes. So, how was your day?
My day was very busy. It was a blessing, but very busy. Sundays for us is usually like a chill day or a cleanup day. So we did a lot of laundry, putting away clothes, and just running around and just having a good time, but very busy time. So yeah, it was a really nice, busy day with the family. We were able to go out and spend a little bit of time together. So that was a lot of fun.
That's nice. Family time is always nice.
Yes. How was your day?
It was blessed beyond measure. So a friend of mine actually asked me if I wanted to go help feed the homeless. So
Hmm.
that was a new experience. I hadn't
Yeah.
really done that very much.
Hmm.
So I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was a learning experience, a growing experience, and yeah, it was amazing, beautiful. They had singing as well, and I actually met a family there that comes from a Mennonite background as well, and like
Wow.
it was a family of like there was like 11 kids, and I was like,
Hmm.
whoa, I could totally relate to
Yeah.
that. So that
That
was that
is
was really cool. I got to connect with them and talk with them. So
that is
it was
really
beautiful.
good. Wow, that's so good when you can meet others in the same background and connect. That is so cool. I love when I meet Caribbean people up here, but I hardly ever meet people from my island or like that, my surrounding islands. So when I do, it's like joy. So I feel you. Like we have that in common. You're not like every day meeting people who came from a Mennonite background into Adventism. So that is really good.
It was
Cool.
actually cool because the weekend before I was talking
Mhm.
to them, they had actually been in Lacrete, and Lacrete is like where my family lives. And I was like, what? They were
Oh,
singing
wow.
there. So I was like, whoa.
That
So that was
is
pretty
so
cool. It was
cool.
their first time being there. So, just relating with them and finding common ground. It was really fun.
That is really nice, man. That's so good. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So let's get into this episode of what should you
Yes.
expect as a new mom. So I'm going to be asking you questions. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to dive right in. And the first question is, what was one of the biggest surprises you had as a new mom? Like when you had your first child, what was like
Yeah.
in raising him? What was it like? Or what surprises do you have?
For me, um, nothing really came as a big surprise with children because I'm gonna like kind of dive into that in the second question. But no matter how tired or how sleep deprived you are, you're going to always show up and put your best foot forward. And that was for me. Like, I've never been so devoted to anything in my life. So, being so devoted to motherhood and just showing up and caring and just like putting my all into everything that we do from day one was a big surprise for me. Like, lay back, chill, get it when I'm done, when I need it, whenever it happens, kind of go with the flow. The days are not planned out. It's like I get up here, do this there. That's kind of how it was for me before. So
Mm.
having a baby changed everything for the better. So truly life had just had a turn, but a blessed turn. So like the maturity and just the love, oh, like it's amazing. It's like God knew that I needed kids because it's the blessed experience. So for me, just how consistent I can be in just being a mother has been a big surprise because um my why, like why do I get up every day and desire to pour into my kids? Why do I get up every day with the joy to like thinking about how can I do this better? How can I bless them better? So like constantly thinking about what I can do to improve our experience each and every day. So that is one of the biggest surprise as being a mother for me.
I love that. I love that because sometimes I just know like from other people and other families,
Mhm.
that sometimes having children, being a mother is an all day, all time thing, like you
Yeah.
said. But sometimes we lose the fact that there's like something bigger behind it, or like
Yeah.
the vision and the drive, and we just go through this mundane thing. So I really like
Yeah.
what you in raising kids. So I really like what you shared in regards to that.
Praise God.
So yeah, my next question is, did you have a lot of expectations about motherhood that turned out like completely different than what you thought? This is
You
like a
know,
loaded question.
yeah, that is. And truly, no, because I had no expectations. I didn't want to be a mom at all. I honestly didn't think I was going to be a mom. The doctor said that you'll never have kids. So, motherhood was never in my sight. I was never that little girl who dreamt about being married and having children and just raising some kids. No, 0%. So, I came into our marriage accepting the reality that I may not have kids and it's okay. We're going to serve the Lord and do all that we can do. And if in time later on, if the Lord opens up the way, I may adopt. I was very open to adoption. So,
Hmm.
like, throughout my time, like going to different doctors and saying you won't have kids. So I was like, I was okay with that. So when our first year of marriage, literally on the anniversary of our marriage, I realized I found out I was pregnant,
Oh.
was a big shocker. So no expectations at all, no desire for kids of my own, like in the here and now when I did
Hmm.
conceive. Definitely was not thinking about anything motherhood. So looking into motherhood, embracing motherhood was far from my thoughts. So yeah, no expectations at all.
Wow, that's really interesting because I feel like that's like somewhat different than what a lot of other people
Yeah.
go into. So that's cool.
Mhm.
I that's really interesting to hear your thoughts on that and your
Yeah.
experience. So my next question is, what should you expect as a new mom? So maybe you can give me some advice since I'm not married and I don't have
Yeah,
any kids. So
I do. Yes. And that's like even in our intro, the reality of don't wait until you find out like I'm pregnant, I'm having
mm,
a baby to be prepared. Like if I knew that like I would be able to have a baby, I would have
hmm.
done things differently. And also now like having children, I'm like, man, I see how much preparation I could have done before. And of course, I hindsight is 2020. But that's why we're here to help you moms out there, expectant moms, like to be able to be prepared before it happens. So for me, what to expect is your life is no longer your own. Like, forget it. Thinking about like getting up as you please, doing this as you please, just living that free life. Enjoy it right now, Tina, as you can. Because you are not going to be able to just be like, hey, let me just do this. Especially if you don't have like a support system with friends or
Hmm.
family member that you trust with your children,
Yeah.
like that is not going to happen. So you're going to have to your life now revolves around everything baby children related, and it's a joy, but enjoy the season that you're in for the season you're in. So your life is no longer your own. Expect to make mistakes. Like you're going to make a lot of mistakes and it's
I love
okay.
that.
You're going to learn and grow through it. Don't like think that you're just permanently there. Don't feel like, man, I'm a terrible parent because I do such and such. No,
Hmm.
you're new to this. No one in any way, shape, or form just wake up and just be perfect at everything. Like this is a process, and just like parenting, it's a process. You're gonna see the things that like maybe in your parents how they parent that you may
Hmm.
like and things that you don't like, and you're gonna
Yeah.
see it comes out in you, and you're like, whoa, wait, and then you can correct that, even though like like this is what I want to do. You may not actually walk in that right away, and it's okay. Like give yourself some grace and expect yourself like to grow, and know that your children, just as much as they're trying to learn how to crawl, how to roll, how to eat, how to walk, you're growing and learning as well. So give yourself that time to actually grow and learn with them, as well as each and every one of your children as you get more are good is going to be completely different.
Mm.
What may work
Hmm.
with one may not work with the other. So studying them, expecting them to grow as well, and know that they may not respond the same way that you taught this first one. Like, for example, my daughter, she's first, she has a totally different personality than the boys just because she's a girl, as well as
Yep.
she just has a totally different personality. And what I did to help her to get like in a way that we would want, totally out the door when Joshua came. Like I have to do something totally different to get him to the way we want. And then Isaiah, different. And then the Nathaniel, he's only 5 months, but I'm seeing total different personalities. Like he is really aggressive. Like none of my kids has been so aggressive, and I love it. But then I'm like, I wonder how that's gonna play out later. So totally different. So don't expect everything that you read in a book that your child is just gonna be that,
Mm.
because they don't turn out exactly what you think. And also trust that God will teach you. Like trust that God will help you. And you are
Yes.
born with motherly instincts. Like believe that God has equipped each and every one of us as women to parent and to be successful at it. So, and the last thing I'll say is babies don't stay babies forever. They're cute and
Ah,
cuddly and
tell me about
sweet right
that.
now, but they do not stay babies forever. So the reality is that your baby is a baby, but you're training them to be an adult to serve and respect and love the Lord and others. Like your baby is a baby for this moment in time, but they're an adult for a longer period of time. And another thing is on the baby tips is expect to consistently have to redo some things. Like sometimes you may get it right, but hey, it may not work out all the time. And also
Mm.
sleep training. It's a must. Like truly learn how to train each child to sleep for the best way for that child. Like each child is different, but yet you can study and understand them and actually help each and every one of them to sleep good. Like moms, you would know in the early stages, sleep is so important. And that is just some of the things that you must expect.
Well, that's amazing. I really like what you shared in regards to having proper expectations as a mother
Mm.
um because like it's a new experience for you, and
Yeah.
like I mean with every child it's different,
Mhm.
and like you said, and it's like um sometimes we can beat ourselves up so much
Yeah.
because we don't have the proper expectations. And a
Yeah.
lot of times in order for us to learn, like we can learn from other people, like how other people do things and that,
Mhm.
but a lot of times like your experience is somewhat like unique. So like,
Yeah.
if you stumble and fall, the Bible says the just man falls 7 times, but he rises up again. So
Mhm.
don't let that one failure
Yeah.
and those like hiccups hinder you from like looking into
Yeah.
raising your children. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
really cool.
the next thing I was gonna say is expect to change a lot of diapers, and expect some crazy blowouts. Like expect it. Expect to be having all that on you when you don't want it. Like expect it to
Mhm,
happen.
mhm.
Expect it to happen when you're out and you didn't bring extra clothes. So expect all that to happen, even when they're two. And you're like, man, they have to walk around like this for how long now? So yes, expect it. And also,
Ew.
I know that literally just happened real recently.
Brought some memories back.
Yes. And expect to have a whole lot of joy, a whole lot of laughter, but I also expect to be overwhelmed sometimes. Expect that
Hmm.
everything is not going to be perfect and you are going to feel a little on the depressed side, but you don't have to stay that way. Truly, as first time mom, statistically, most moms actually suffer with postpartum depression for the first couple of months or so,
Yeah.
but you don't have to. Like, you can really know that this may happen. Like, your hormones is going crazy for after birthing a child and breastfeeding and all those things. You're releasing so much oxytocin that that love hormone is on the rise, but then that sad hormone is just all over the place. Like
Mhm.
expect it, and just not think that you're like permanently there. You can control it by your mindset, and the Lord will truly help you if you just submit to Him. So expect those times to come, and how to navigate it. Like truly talk to others, spend time with other moms, and just get out in the fresh air. Like do something different, get dressed up, do something different to help you throughout that process, to just
Yeah.
change the mundane of constant everyday the same, and just like truly know that God is with you and He's for you. So yes.
So would you say like I really like what you said in regards to like expect you know the statistics of like postpartum depression and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for us to like know those things and like
Mhm.
you said expect those things because if we expect those things then it's going to be easier and we can come to it as a knowledge like okay other people go through this too and it's a
Yeah.
normal thing that we go through and
Yeah.
like yeah, that'd probably be something that yeah, you know, I should look into like how to, you know, how to overcome
Yeah.
things like that. And so I'm thankful that you shared that.
Yeah. Praise God. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's some interesting stuff. Yeah. So my next question is a little bit more personal, but like,
Mhm.
what do you think is the single greatest thing that you can instill in the minds of your children when they are young? I know it is so important, like in the younger years, to instill these things. So, what do you see as something that the things that are really good to instill in your children?
Well, when it comes to the single most important thing, of course, it's Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Like, truly having a love for Jesus on your own, like you having
Mm,
an experience to give. Like, you cannot give what you don't have. You can read
mhm,
stories to them, but it will never come alive unless they see like it living in you. Like, they
mhm,
cannot process these things on their own without guidance, without help, without seeing the desire. Like your kids are not going to desire spiritual things if they don't see spiritual things every day. Like every day. Like not just occasionally on the day you go to church or stuff, like no, every day of their lives. So a love for Jesus is the single most important thing that you can give your child. Like once you give them that, then everything else in life will follow. Like they can and will be able to do their work in school the way that you will desire and all those wonderful things that you would want them to do.
mhm,
But because they're not just going to sit around and just live for themselves, because they have this burning desire to serve and to give and to help. Start early. Like, do not underestimate how small they are and how much they will remember. Like, I started with Hananiah at a very early age. The first thing I did with her as soon as she was born was sung my favorite song to her. And when I did that, I remember just the peace and the joy that the Lord allowed us to have. And I kid you not, at a young age, she lights up at when I sung that song. When we sung it in worship, it was like no other song. Like
wow.
she lighted up and I was like, wow, like she remembers the song. And then also like you would see like 6 months after, like I was playing a song that I was just like my song for a minute. And then 6 months after, I totally like, you just change and you don't listen to that song anymore. I
Mhm,
played it, and then she was singing the words for it. I was like, "Whoa!" She remembered it, and she was at young age. Like Hannah and I start talking so early that like my boys didn't start talking as early, so I have so many like talking memories with her as a young like 1 year old and 2 year old and 3 year old and 4 and 5. So the reality is like when I saw that, like it really instilled in me, even though my boys don't talk at that young age, like they are soaking it all up. And guess what?
mhm,
They all like before the age of 1, they can like mumble jumble prayers, and they're like
mhm.
amen, and you're like go ahead and pray, and they will say their little jumbly prayer every time. Like include them in worship, have worship with them first, and include
Yeah.
them in worship each time. Allow the Bible stories to be read, and allow them to like learn about them as you grow. Like if you're one that, okay, yeah, you let your kids watch things, make sure they watch stuff that are wholesome and that are going to uplift them to God, not just good principles, because good morals and good principles without Christ, it's just
Yeah,
good, but
that's
it
right.
doesn't
That's
lead you to
right.
an experience. Like many people who don't believe in God do very good acts of kindness and love, and that's
Hmm.
wonderful. But truly, it's when we allow our experience to be their experience, and not in a way that you're forcing it on them, but in a way that they would actually love to experience these things. So for me, the single most greatest thing is like truly giving them Jesus and having them have that experience on understanding who Jesus is. And you will see throughout their lives, they will show evidence of the love for Jesus, like the one, like the love you have for him.
Mm. That's really amazing. I appreciate you sharing that, and I could definitely see like I mean that is truly like there's nothing else greater than that. So I love that you share that, and
Mm.
I totally agree with you. That is the number one thing. Would you say that um your child is never too young, like to pray with, I because I've heard this in the past, and I think like that like they're too young, they don't understand, so then
Mm.
they don't really like share with him. Like do you have
Yeah.
when they're like a baby, like an infant, just born, do you still have worship with them, and like sing and pray with them, and
Mm.
do these things even if they're that young and really
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question because truly and honestly, every single day, my baby does not attend worship because he's sleeping at the time. But if he is, he's there in worship, but not every single day. And my
Hmm.
one, when Isaiah was one, he was a busybody, and every one of them had the busy moments, so they won't like sit and worship well, despite like you're training them to sit, but sometimes they're wiggly and movy. But the fact that you're having it and they know that it's something to do, don't be discouraged. Like every single one of your child's not gonna just sit there and love it. Like with
Yeah.
Hananiah, she was a little younger and she's the only one, so it's kind of easier to keep her. But then you have this little one and then there's this one, and it might be like wild and crazy. But guess, like, never underestimate each child. I say that example to say, like, sometimes one child will just want to run away, and that's okay. Like, help them to come back and help them
Hmm.
to know that this is the reverent thing that we're doing and this is what we're doing. Don't allow them to just run off and play, but give them the opportunity to see that this is what we're doing, like every single day. This is what we're doing. And sometimes you may see like, oh man, I can't get it in every day. But if you make it a priority and like you do it, you're gonna be able to do it. Like eating is a priority in your home. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna
Yeah.
ever stop. You're never not gonna feed your children. So
Hmm.
just as important as food is, they're gonna
Hmm.
know, because our kids, we do not eat before we have worship, and they know. Like at first, it was a little for them, just a little bit. Not like they were like starving or anything. We just like, listen, we're gonna have it, and we don't have it long. It's not drawn out.
Yeah.
We make it really interesting for them. We make it in a way that they will enjoy it, and they would want it, and that they wouldn't want to do anything else but to have worship.
Hmm.
So make it enjoyable. But yes,
Yeah.
no age is too small. I know sometimes it might be like a little too much, but keep the consistency going. And guess what? They're gonna sit there and they're gonna do it. If you are serious, they will learn and they will abide. So now they all sit in worship. Isaiah might still be a little wiggly, but he doesn't get up and go anywhere. He's there. And especially if you have the two parent in the home doing it,
Hmm.
then definitely they're gonna stay. But sometimes maybe it's just the mom. The dad has to go to work and the kids are not all up. That's fine. Sometimes that happens for us. So that's why he might be a little on the wiggly side.
Yeah.
But guess what? You can still do it. It can still happen. So yeah, they're never too young. Like I said, before they're even one, they can respond in ways to like what's going on. And when they're 1 year old, you're gonna see that they're gonna try to pray as well. They're gonna try to sing
Mm.
the songs. They're gonna try to repeat the memory verse. I have videos of the kids before they're one repeating the memory verse. Before Isaiah and Hananiah and Joshua was 1 years old, they could have memorized verses. So they all have their different personalities, and but all of them in their different personalities and in different structures, they all were able to um gain these experiences. So yeah, you're never too young to receive of the love of Jesus and understand it and share it and and just experience it. So no, no, not at all.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So my next question is, sometimes I think it's a touchy subject, like
Yeah.
because all people do it like in, in different ways. But my next question is about disciplining children. So what do you see, like what does disciplining children look like to you, and what do you have you found to be effective, and what have you found not to be effective?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question because truly it is a learning process. I don't say I have it all right, but I'm committed to getting it right. So
Amen.
even though you have the ideal is here, you
Hmm.
might be there, but guess what? The ladder you're climbing, you're up there. So I know the end goal and I have it in mind, and each day I'm setting forth and walking towards it. So this is a learning process for me. And truly, as I said, it's not a perfect process, but it's getting better. So for me, I believe that real discipline without training is not discipline. You cannot discipline someone without training before. So the
Hmm.
first thing is to train them. Show
Wow.
them how you want things to be done so that they'll know what to expect from you and how to do it correctly. So, for example, you can't expect them to be a certain way if you then physically, like literally show them how you want them to be. Not just in your actions, like being good, yeah, but like let's say you want them to pick up some toys. You have to go over and show them, or you can explain, pick it up with them and then put it in to the bin and then tell them, come pick that one up, tell them the toy and put it into the bin. And as you guys do it and they see you, then you'll say, oh man, I think you're doing a great job. Now you can do it by yourself. I think you're good enough. Like you got
Hmm.
it. You can do it. And then when you're like, okay, this is a time for you to pick up the toys, they not only know how to, but your word is not just something like, yeah, mommy's just saying it. And then the next thing with the training, so you train them how to do it, then your words, like you're not just saying it over and over and over and over, like
Oh boy.
the
Hmm.
nagging aspect of it.
Yeah.
Nagging is not the way. The opposite of nagging is being consistent. So the opposite of nagging is being consistent. Instead of
Mm.
telling them, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, you go over and say, hey, look them straight in the face, keep a calm face and body, and explain to them what they you want them to do, and then have them on like when they have like understanding like this is what you want, and then
Hmm.
give them the consequences and then follow up. You allow them to do it. You see them, you allow them if they fail and go straight to them and like, hey, this is what you are doing and this is what we want happen.
Hmm.
Every day is not the same. Like every day is not the easiest thing. The first time you start doing it, it's gonna be like chaos in your brain, but be consistent in it and you'll see. And I call it like have low tolerance. Like as soon as you see that they're not doing something, follow up with it. Like get up and do it. Sometimes it's like you don't want to get up and go and do it, but no, follow up. Then you help them to see like this is what you want accomplished, and these are the
Hmm.
consequences if you don't get it accomplished in certain time. And when you understand the consequences and you understand that you're going to actually follow through with the consequences
Hmm.
and make it realistic. Don't give them consequences like you're going to pop them or whatever and you don't do it. Don't make that consequence so high. Maybe bring it down a notch first, and then if they did such and stuff, then maybe that's required.
Mm.
But never just like say things and you know you're not going to follow through with it. And if you do, go to them and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I said the wrong thing. I didn't mean to actually say that. I meant to say this. Like truly come to them and explain to them that that will do so the far good if they hear you come to them and ask for forgiveness for
Hmm.
something that's wrong
Hmm.
than to just brush over it. Because in their mind, they're like, mommy's not true to their word. Like, I can get over on her on this. But if you are like, hey, you know what? I said the wrong thing. Let's talk about it. They'll know that they can actually come to you and trust that you will talk to them, as well as they know that you will, like, you will follow through with your word and you're someone to rely on. And yeah, sometimes mommy makes mistakes too, and I can come to her when I
Mhm.
make a mistake. So yeah, so that's some of the things. There's so many other examples that are coming to my mind when it comes to training your child,
Mhm.
because there's so many things that you have to do before just discipline. And just one thing I'll say is, I remember this instant when I was going to discipline them, and I had to stop myself and said, did I even train them what the right way was?
Hmm.
No, I didn't. So how am I mad at them for doing something when I didn't even show them what's the right way to do it? So then I said, hey, that's a teachable moment for me and one for them. So I
Yeah.
stopped and I explained to them why it's wrong and then what they should do, instead of disciplining them, instead of like
Mhm.
getting off of them, and realizing that, guess what? They're in this learning process as well. Like, they're
Yeah.
new to this earth, with the small children, and doing it in the beginning, like starting fresh and in the beginning with the small children at a small age, stopping them from wrong. And the last thing on training I'll say is this, like putting before them something like a scissors, and tell them at a really small age, like, this is a scissors. It's really sharp. It's for cutting paper and cutting things, not for playing. You are not, like, you shouldn't touch that. That can really hurt you. And then if they try to touch it, you just like thump their hands just a little soft, like, no, that's not what you do. Like, you're training them like this is really wrong. And then the
Mhm.
more you just train them before, when they see a scissors there, they won't actually touch it, because they know that this is something hard, this is something harsh, this is something that will hurt you. The fire, it's there. And then if you have kids that are on the stubborn side, and who cares what you said, you train me that, I'm gonna still do it. Then you just, yeah, okay. Then these are the consequences. This is what happened. And you help them through it. You don't just let them burn themselves, like,
Mhm.
but you help them through it. And I'm laughing because my sweet Isaiah truly had an experience very similar. We taught him over and over. Thankfully he didn't burn himself really hard, but he knows it's hot. He even says it, but he still wants to touch it. And then he's like, oh, and it's just so funny because they know they don't want to do it, but it's the, like, telling them sometimes, no, don't do that, makes them say, oh yeah, I want to do that. Teach them why it's important to sit. For example, last example,
Mhm.
if you're telling them, don't eat on the couch, eat, then guess what they're thinking, I want to eat on the couch. Or tell them the benefits and the importance to sitting at the table, then they're like, oh yeah, I'll go sit at the table. So making them, like, tell them don't do this sometimes, in a way that's like you're
Makes
trying
them
to
want to
stop
do
them from doing, make them want to do it. So show them, shift your thought, your wording, and help them to see that, hey, I want to actually sit over here, because guess
Mhm.
what,
Mhm.
once you sit at the table you can actually eat better. The food is just gonna be here. You can just explain to them the benefits of sitting at the table, and showing them it's a joyous thing and something you would want to do. So yes, training beforehand is important.
You mentioned some powerful stuff there. I'm like, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I love what you said, like the last point that you said in regards to instead of saying don't, like focusing on like what not to do, focus
Yeah.
on what they should do instead. So like
Mhm.
it's basically like it's just it's shifting in their mind, but it helps them
Yeah.
to not focus on what they should not do because a
Mhm.
lot of times our brains doesn't know what the word don't is. Like if we say
Yeah.
like the other thing afterwards, so they want to go do
Mhm.
it, you know. So
Yeah.
that's interesting, and I really like what you said in regards to keeping your word. You know, if you
Mhm.
have said something, this is something that like always bugs me if I see parents do that because I know it like loses you lose the child's respect if you don't like
Mhm.
keep your word because they're like, oh well,
Yeah.
I can get away with this, I can get away with that, and get away with it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no, don't do it. You're like
Yes.
losing your respect. Yeah. So
Mhm.
it like hurts my heart to see that, and so I really appreciate you bringing that part out.
Yeah, and it's so hard because you see your sweet little babies as babies, and they
Hmm.
can be the sweetest little things, and you don't want to correct them, and you don't want to be harsh on them, and you go to the straight opposite or extreme of it. And I understand how you can find yourself in that trap, because
Hmm.
me looking in, I used to babysit kids, totally different. Like I would discipline them in a heartbeat. But now that I have my kids, like sometimes you let things slide and you're like, why did I do that? Because you have them 24/7. You're kind of tired of
Mm.
hearing them all day sometimes. And you're
Yeah.
like it's different with a kid when they go away. Like you have them 100% yours. Even in the night, they wake up a whole lot. Sometimes they're
Hmm.
sick. Like you have that child continually. So sometimes you will find yourself slipping and you're like, whoa, I gotta catch myself. Like I don't just let things slide. So truly, I can understand and sympathize with parents, whatever their reasons are. Because when now, like having that child and having to constantly discipline, you almost feel like every single day, every minute of the day, they're doing something that you have to discipline them. And you're kind of tired, like, what do I have to do this all day? Like, can I do something
Mm-hmm.
else with you?
Yeah.
Like, truly, it's sometimes feel that way. And then you have to really bring it back and see, like, how can I create a day to be more pleasant? And guess what? Your days are pretty much almost the same. Like your child is going to do the same stuff pretty much all the time. Think about the things that they do that like they mess up on. Like you know that if this happens, this child is going to respond that way. How can you come before them and help them to not respond that way before it happens? How can you think about, if that child, like my son, if he opens the banana incorrectly, he's going to have a meltdown. How can you lovingly help him? Because he wants to be independent. Help him to be very independent, like he wants. Don't stop his independence and still teach him that he can open the banana or he can have a little help or explain to him when a banana is a little harder than usual, this is going to happen. He may have a meltdown from the banana. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can come before them, oh, it's time to eat. He may actually want a banana. Let's talk about it beforehand while he's calm and cool and everything is fine. Like there are going to be scenarios and things that pop up all the time.
Yep.
Nip it in the butt beforehand and it's gonna work out. Like just spend time before, like in the nights, praying to the Lord about your children, thinking about what they do, what upsets them each and every day, what are the trigger points for them, and think about solutions that God will give you to how to come before them and explain to them when everything is calm how to do it. And I guarantee your child's behavior and attitudes and meltdowns will be little to none. They're gonna happen because children are children. There may be a little more on the emotional side. Not all of your children may be that, but you may have one that has a more emotional side to them.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge that and know that just because one child is not as emotional, needs like another, that does not mean the child's wrong and need to fix them. More so help them to gear them into how to make it better and help them to control it. Because they're gonna need to tap into that later on in life. Like having emotion and expressing them is really good, but how to manage them is what you want. So
Yeah, yeah. Every strength has a weakness as well, and I think
yeah.
every weakness has a strength. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
so
Don't
interesting.
force
Some
them
of these
into
things
it.
are like writer downers that
I
you're
know,
saying.
right?
I'm like,
Like
well, I think I should be taking notes, or maybe I should like listen to this again.
I know, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is I'm learning a lot too. So yeah. So another question that I have, we might have to go a little quicker because time is
I
just flying
know. I was
by.
like, man, I see the time.
Okay, so how do you help your children to enjoy chores? Chores are something that's like really important, and I think it's something that all children should do, like,
Hmm.
start from the young. But like
Yeah.
how do you help your children to enjoy doing chores and helping in the home?
Yeah. That's a hard one. It's not always enjoyable for children. My children only have one chore.
Hmm.
Everything else they can help me with, but they are not required to do. We have a schedule and we show like when they need to get this chore accomplished in a time frame. Sometimes they don't, and it's okay. Consequences if you don't do it. So for my kids, the only chore they have is to clean up their toys because I didn't make that mess, so I don't have to clean it. The mess I
Hmm.
make, I'll clean. I may help you in a teachable moment, but
Hmm.
this is your chore. Like this one, you gotta do. Like they would help me wash the dishes, put away the clothes, the laundry, different things, wipe down the counters. all those wonderful things. They may help me with
Mhm.
it. They will help me cook. They want to do that every single day, but that's
Yep.
not a chore. Like I'll invite them in and let them help, but the thing they have to do is clean up after themselves. Now, my children, if you guys don't know, is 5, 3, 2, 5 months. So the 5 and 3 year old definitely have to. The 2 year old is not required right now because yeah, he wouldn't even. No, it's not happening. I will kind of instruct him to try, but that's not happening. So I'm not forcing it on him. But the 3 year old, it's not even required for him to do a whole lot because the way he processed things at 3, someone else may process the cleaning up in a better way. But if not, I'm not gonna force him to do a whole lot. His chores are gonna be appropriate for his age. So he still do have to clean and he can do a lot, but it's gonna be appropriate for his age. So basically we split it down the middle. They have to clean up their own rooms, and Joshua shares a room with his brother. So
Mhm.
maybe I'll help him a little bit because it's not only his mess. So I'll
Mhm.
explain that to him, but he must clean it. But I may help you a little bit because it was not only you that did it. So that's one thing. And then so they get a chance to watch something at 3 o'clock. And before 3 o'clock, they don't want to clean. They want to clean like right at 3 and then watch something. That's fine with me. But they can't watch anything if they don't clean. So sometimes they're like, I don't really want to clean. So guess what? I want to watch something. And they realize, like, oh man, this brings added mess, brings added cleaning. So I should just do it right away and get it done. So they're learning that. But so I help them by making a rule in a way that's something that you expect and not in a forced way. Explain to them, teach them how to clean it, like walk them through it, like gear them up to it until they're on the point where they know it's expected and they know and they're
Mhm.
just gonna
Mhm.
do it. So you kind of lovingly help them, train them, help them with it, let them know that they like this is what we're doing, like really make it a way that's it's fun and you get a reward if you do so sometimes, and then leave it up to them. And if they don't do it, you follow up with them and they know the consequences. So keep a calm face and body, like I said. Explain to them this is what we're gonna do, and this is a time frame you want them to do it. And if this is not happening, then the consequences come, and then you follow up, and they don't get to watch anything at all. So they understand that, and then that helps them to say, "Man, I really want to clean because I do enjoy watching a little bit something sometimes. So
Mhm.
I want to do it." So this helping them in that way, like training them, helping them to get it going.
So like have some rewards and stuff
Yeah,
is really
yeah,
important.
it's important
Yeah, I
too.
feel like that's really important as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I have one more question.
Yeah.
So, I think I know your answer to this. But okay, do you think it's good to become your children's friend? And if yes, how do you become your children's friend? If not, why? So like, because I just have this question because some people are like, well, if I'm the children's friend, then
Mhm.
I'm like, how do I discipline them?
Yeah.
Like where's the yeah. So just like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So for me, I always like there is a way to be your children's friend. Sometimes people are their friends in a wrong way. So there is a way to it. And some people are friends with their children and they don't, like you said, don't know how to discipline them right and all that. So it can work out against you. But the healthy way that I believe in being your children's friend is the first thing is you must listen to them. Like
Mm,
actually
yeah.
spend time listening to them, be interested in what they're interested in. So yes, you can be their friend. Like for example, if you have a daughter you only have one daughter and she doesn't really have friends to play with, guess what? You have to play dolls with her. Like you have to pour into her and allow her to know that she can turn to you. So listen to them, be interested in what they're interested into in um talk to them about everything, like let them talk to you about everything, play with them, like I said, like truly allowing them to express themselves and play, respect their wishes, of course, in with guidelines, but truly understand like
Hmm.
they have a voice and allow them to speak If and also involve them in your day-to-day activities, like whatever you're doing, involve them in it. If you have a lot going on in your day, explain to them what's going on, what to expect, like share with them. Allow them to see what how a friend like what a real friendship is. Like allow them
Mm-hmm.
to learn how to be a friend by you being a friend to them. Do things with them that interest them, like learn what they're interested in and actually do it. And just really make an effort to care for them. And like I said in the earlier time, say you're sorry. It's so important to say you're sorry to them. Like if you're doing something that's not good, explain to them why you were wrong and why you need to do better. Like allowing them to see that you make mistakes and yes,
Mm-hmm.
and we can go about it in a right way. When you implement these things and just have a genuine interest in them, then they can turn to you and tell you things when they're struggling, when they're going through things that are hard. They can come to you because they know, like, mommy cares. She cares about the
Yeah.
little things, the big things, the in between things. She talks to me about it. She explains to me things. Like, we will talk about stuff. We'll do things together. I show an interest. Like, um, have like times where you can go do like the little date time with them, like my husband has been doing with my daughter, like taking her out on a separate time and showing her like what a man, future husband should do and how you should be treated. And like she is like super excited about it. Taking the boys out separately, spend quality time with them separate, like showing them that they matter and they care and you like what they like and you care about them. So yes, definitely spend that time and growing your relationship with them.
Yeah, I love that answer. I think you nailed it on the spot. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that was all the questions
Yeah.
that I had for you, and I've learned a lot, and I'm really thankful for that. And oh boy, like when you were sharing stuff, I was like, hey, we could do like another podcast on this. We could do another podcast on this. So
I
I
know,
hope you
right?
guys enjoy this stuff and are learning stuff as well. And yeah, it's really and truly a blessing.
Amen. Yeah, truly. It's really been a blessing just to share. And I have some questions for you just really briefly. I want to
Yeah.
know cuz even though like I'm a mom and life is different on my end, but you as desiring to be married one day and a mom in the future, like do you desire to have children?
Yeah, that's a good question because I feel like for the longest time I was like, the times that we're living in, and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if it's the best time to like bring children into the world. But
Mhm.
I do feel like yes, I'm still open to the Lord, whatever the Lord has in store for my life.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I do want to prepare myself for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love kids. I love being around children. And I think they're really and truly a blessing.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So if you were to have children, how many would you like to have?
That's a good question. Oh boy, sometimes I feel like I should put more thought into this. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want like, 13 kids. Like I grew up in a family of 13. Although I love big families, I love like I can't imagine, growing up in like or being an only child and things like
Yeah.
that. But I I think like five's a good number. For some people it's probably still like high. Cause
Yes. Ooh.
or I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
one thing that I realized, like growing up in a big family, I feel like a lot of times you it's harder to have for the parents to have like one-on-one time with the children. And that
Yes.
is something that like I really value
Mhm.
and I think is really important like in the development of children. And so I feel like having some space in between your children.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm just like learning and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
really. Go
What I was
ahead.
gonna ask, what space, like what was the space, age gap you think would be good for you
The
between
thing is,
kids?
like, I have like maybe this like conflicting thoughts in my mind because I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if they're like closer in age, they could be like friends, and do things
Yeah.
together, and I like that. But then I'm like, well, I do want to have like one-on-one. So I feel like if you had like two kids and they were like closer in age and then like had like a few years gap
Mhm.
and then have like some more kids,
Yeah.
like I think that would probably be like good. But I mean, I'm not. Yeah.
Of course, hindsight is 2020. Like looking into it, you never really would know. So it's good to like think about
Yeah.
those things because for
Hmm.
me, I always wanted four, but I never really thought about four. Like in my mind, if you ever asked, I didn't really care for the question, but if it
Hmm.
was
Yeah.
four, would come up like four. I don't know why, just like four, yeah. Then as I'm having kids, like I was like four, and
Hmm.
then now I have four. I'm like, oh boy, did I really want? Like I'm happy to have four, but I'm like, man, would I choose four? Yes, because I have them and I love it. But in a
Hmm.
practical sense, in like how much you have to pour into them, you have like it's a lot, but I love it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can take the easier route and have two. Oh man, this will be a piece of cake for me. Like this will
I
be
believe you.
super
Yeah.
easy, like super easy. Do I just go with the super easy way? I love the challenge, but yet, I mean, if I just had two, this will be so easy to pour into each
Hmm.
child so much. But having four, balancing, pouring into them each day can be a challenge. And sometimes you don't always get it right. But guess what? You're committed, like
Yeah.
I said, to getting it right. So each day I try to think about ways I can pour into each child. Sometimes it don't happen, but guess what? They know that, we care for you, each one of you.
Hmm.
So it can be overlapping, it could be a lot, but they're always there. They always feel loved. And one thing I said, she wished she could have more kids, but if it meant like separation from us for a little bit, she rather not have them. Because someone has to, because
Yep.
in where we live, we don't have, like, you couldn't have home births, so you have to go to hospital.
Hmm.
And I had to go to the hospital for like 3 days. And 3 days away from me was not like, nah, how about we just not have any more kids? And I was like, I love that she'd rather be with me than having like another child. Even though I love little babies, like she said, like she loved babies, but I rather not. And I'm like, I'm so happy that she can feel that love and still
Hmm.
know that even though we have more kids, like every one of you individually are loved and we care and we just are there for you. So yeah, but yeah, I like that that mindset. Not really knowing is good. Not being certain on it is good because guess what? It's not a care for you right now. So you
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
to worry.
Yeah. At first, I was like, what? Maybe like three. I
Yeah.
like three. But
Yeah.
like it kind of like varies a little bit
Yeah. And
sometimes.
you have the experience. You even though you have six in a row so close
Hmm.
together, you guys are not the besties of the besties. You're good, but not like as close as like you would think like six people will be. You're close, but what like you never get exactly what you want. So just really
Yeah.
prayerfully allow God to deal with it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So when you
Exactly.
think about being a mom one day, what comes to mind?
Boy, that's like a loaded question.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like what comes to my mind is like the importance of like pouring into your children
Mm-hmm.
and um realizing that they're human beings that like you can make a difference in this world through your children. Like
Mm-hmm.
as mothers are like, really greatly influence the world. Like it all starts with people and then like one person individually and then family. Like families
Yeah.
is what makes this world yeah, so I feel like teaching your children to have like, Christ
Mhm.
and just good like morals
Mhm.
and things like is so important. That's like one thing that really comes to my mind in regards to
Mhm.
having children. So like I guess long-term vision.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like we can get a little bit caught up in like the short term or
Yeah.
like the now and here, but I
Yeah.
think it's really important for us to look at the
L
future and
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's good. So, my last question to you is like, what are some things you should do to prepare yourself before having the children? Having children. What do you think are some of the things you should do to prepare?
Well, like you said, you shared like earlier on the podcast is,
Yeah.
consecrating yourself to God because, you know, like another thing that you said is it takes a lot of unselfishness to raise children the proper way.
Yes.
And I think that is something that's like that I need to work on. As I mean, we're always going to work on, but like,
Yeah.
that as well. Just, don't let any selfishness get in your heart.
Yeah.
um, yeah. And also, I feel like to prepare for children, I think babysitting is,
Yeah.
although it's not the same,
Yeah.
it's a good
It,
experience
yeah.
to have because like I grew up in a family that there's like kids all around. So I
Yeah.
feel like in some ways I have some experience, but I know it's still going to be
Yeah.
like way different, having my own kids. And because my youngest sister's 5, I've like, sometimes I felt
Yeah.
like the second mom, and
Yeah.
I loved it. Like me and my
Yeah.
sister are really close. So yeah, I think like babysitting,
Mhm.
and also even what I'm doing now, it's like
Yeah.
asking other, people who have experience,
Yeah.
asking them questions like what do they do. I think that's like vitally important,
That's
in order
really
for you to like learn and
yeah.
to grow in motherhood.
Definitely agree. Definitely. The only thing I'll say, because definitely number one is spiritual. Like you cannot give what you
Yeah.
don't have. You cannot like go through the storms of like birthing, parenting, all that stuff without the Lord. But one thing I would just stress, just because I didn't even think about it. Obviously, I told
hmm
you guys I didn't want your body, like having your body ready for that. The older you get, the harder your body
Harder.
is going to take on birthing a child. So having your
hmm
body ready by constant exercising, like if you're not doing that, constantly exercise, make exercise a part of your life. Cause right, like your body looks nice now when you're young and have no
Yeah.
kids. But when a kid hit, it's like, whoa, what happened?
Yep.
Like, and then having another one, you're like, oh man, you're out. So truly, your body might bounce back outwardly, but man, every single child takes a toll on your body, and you
hmm
have to be able to like truly allow that to heal and in the right way. So yes, but I love what you're saying. That's really good. That's a good mindset to have, especially like not having kids but looking to the future, being prepared. And we have nothing to fear for the future except we like forget what people have
Those.
taught us in the past and what
Yep.
we've seen. So now that you have all these tools, like truly you're going to be this mom. And I look at you in the past, I was like, yes, Tina, you doing this. Like I wish I could have had all this wonderful wisdom from many different people and experiences and then just do it. But God knows. And it's just such a
hmm
blessing. So I'm happy to do this with you and share this with you, and us being together here on this podcast is sharing things that are just relevant for us as women. God
hmm
has created us to birth children. God has created us to mother and be a wife and all these things. And if that's not your lot, praise God. But if it is, being prepared and ready and able is a blessing. So thank you so much for your time in this.
Yeah, and thank you everyone who is listening and joining us. I hope and pray
Yes,
that this was a blessing to you guys, and you found some
yes,
more nuggets in if you are a mother or
yes.
want to be a mother in the future or an expectant mom.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I hope and pray that you guys enjoyed this, and
Yes.
stay tuned for more episodes in the
Yeah.
future. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for listening. I hope and pray that you all have a blessed day.
God bless you all. Bye.